Everyone.
Hi.
So great to see you all. Take a few breaths. Just take a few breaths and bring yourself present. Okay. So I am thrilled that you're all here. And we're listening to Vada Morning, which is just to kind of set the stage for us to kind of bring ourselves present. And the music is going to stop in just a second. And whether you're here for part of the time or all of the time, we're going to have so much fun. So just for now, I want you to close your eyes and bring yourself present, knowing that just for now, there's no place else we need to be, nothing we have to do, and no one to take care of, except for yourself, even if it's just for now. There's nothing on your to-do list, no oughts or shoulds, nothing that's going to take you away from just allowing yourself to receive whatever you signed up to be here for. And as you do, just go inside and put your hands on your heart and let your heart know that you are here to receive today and ongoing. This is a place of sanctuary, of connection, of camaraderie, of healing. Let your heart know that we're going to find new ways to communicate to ourselves, and in so doing, communicate better with the people in our lives. And as you're closing your eyes, just go inside and check with all parts of you that motivated you to be here today. Hope, healing, connection, camaraderie. And just set an intention for yourself right now that you can either write down and keep private, or that you can share with the group. Knowing that your presence here is a gift, your energy is a gift, and this gift was co-created by all of us, for all of us. And the light in me sees and appreciates the light in you. So namaste to all of our parts and welcome. Yay. All right, great. Come on back in. And let's put the gallery up here. Look at those beautiful faces. I'm so thrilled you're here. You're welcome to be here with your camera on, your camera off, in your jammies, with coffee, with wine, cocoa, whatever you want. This is a sanctuary. I called it a course, unfortunately, because there's nothing to learn here. Okay, and some of my favorite teachers are here. Laurel and Andrea are here. Laurel has guided me on bringing more joy into business, and I'm getting choked up because this was actually an act of grace. And Preeti, are you here? You are here. And I don't want to put you on the spot, Preeti, but I want to tell you that you are the angel that created this group, that manifested it today. And I will tell you why. This group has been in my heart for many years. And for the last several weeks, and Julie's here, my wonderful VA, who is by my side with all my ADD for the last 8 years. So let's give a shout out to Julie. She has kept me whatever this version of sane looks like. So because Preeti, this is a story about synchronicity. It's also a story about feeling divinely led, because there was something in me that said I wanted to get this course session, transformational experience. But everything was, I'm glad you're here. Preeti, am I saying it right? Great. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to tell you why you're my angel. because for weeks, Julie and I have been trying to figure out, and Laurel and Andrea, what newsletter, what email, what post, which of course goes all into my left brain, and I hate marketing, and the energy behind it is one, I really want to share this, but nobody's answering. So Julie and I decided yesterday we were just going to let it go. Okay, we were just going to pass whatever I sent out, At 5 o'clock yesterday, Preeti paid for the session. I looked at my phone and I made a sale. And I was left at 5 o'clock to decide, well, maybe I do it with just Preeti, maybe I offer her some privates. And then Jill signed on. Hi, Jill. And then I decided, I love you guys so much that I wanted to invite those of you who resonated to be here. So between last night and today, right now, this is what manifested. So I want to remind you of the power of your yes. Preeti, thank you, dear. We haven't met. You are the only one, Preeti, that I don't know in this whole group. So the power of your yes created this group. So I'm telling you, hi, Catherine, there. So now you know that the power of your yes, whatever your yes is, even if it's the last minute, lean in and just do it. And God will guide you and the right people will show up, and we are all here now. So welcome. So I got my own journal. I just got it even before I knew I had the course. So I've got my unicorn journal. I've also got my markers and because we're going to play for these times. Hopefully you'll learn things and feel things, but here's the overview. We are going to divide this into 4 sessions. Today is about connecting to your best self. And next time we're going to talk about letting go of limiting beliefs and judgments about ourselves and others. The 3rd week, we're going to unburden pain from the past. And then we are going to talk about how we relate from our heart. But we're doing this from our hearts to start bringing that compassion to ourselves. Okay, so what I want you to do, and the chat is open. So there are a few housekeeping things that I would like to talk about. Yes, the power of yes. Thank you. Thank you. To register at the last minute. Yep. Thanks, Laurel. Laurel was 10 to 12. I said, you inspired it. Please join us. And here she is. So yay. All right. So I'm going to breathe. I am recording these. They will go on a platform to which you will have access. Okay. And the platform I will show you later has a course. It will have each week recorded. We are co-creating this together. Okay. I know the energy that each of you bring. And I know that not only will you learn or be inspired by things that I might say, I hope, but you will definitely be inspired by what each of you will offer. Okay. There's no pressure to offer. There's no pressure to talk, but I want you to contribute as much as you can. In my mind, I have 35 years of an agenda, but I have no agenda, because whatever is that you need in this group is what I want to see happen. Okay. So what I'm going to do is create the first hour that will have as much content as we can have, with the last 30 minutes being optional, meaning if you have to hop off, you can without feeling you're missing a lot of whatever we're talking about. And in the last 30 minutes, I will stay on for any processing, sharing, small groups that we want to do. Okay. And we'll introduce ourselves in a little bit. But first, I'm going to take a breath. Everybody take a breath. Thank you. Cool. All right. Does everybody have something to write on or write with?
Yes.
Okay. And again, this is an inside job. As I said, whatever you choose to do is inside of you. Whatever you choose to share, I welcome. I don't want you to worry about taking up too much time or asking the wrong question or making it about you, because it's about us. So whatever it is that we're talking about today and on the ongoing is really a joint venture in bringing more self-energy, more higher consciousness, bringing in the angels, our gods, the best version of ourselves that we're sharing with each other. So what I'd like you to do is take your journal, and whatever that meditation did in terms of your intention for today or your reason for being here now. And for those of you who have to leave early, the replay will be posted. And for those of you who can't be here at all, the replay will be there for you to find. But you're here, your energy is here, so join in where you can. So take a few moments and just write down, and I'm going to write down too, why you're here and what your intention is for being here. Or when you introduce yourself, if you want to, you can share it then. But again, you can be as private, as anonymous, as participatory as you'd like. So I'm putting down the dates for today. And then the other thing I'd like you to put in for now is take a few deep breaths. In fact, take a couple belly breaths. Inhale, belly out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. Inhale, belly out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. One last time. Inhale, belly out. Exhale, belly button back to your spine. And then just notice your body. Notice where you're tense or tight. Notice any thoughts that you have, and then notice your feelings. And I'd like you to write down what it is you are feeling right in this moment. And then if you want to, go a little deeper and find the feelings that you're not letting yourself feel. And the third question is, once again, state your reason for being here. Okay, you can keep writing. Who wants to start? Nobody has to, but who wants to? Oh, Martha, you raised your hand?
Hi.
Good.
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. There you go. Come on in.
Hi, thank you, Linda. Thank you for putting this together for us. I am here because my angel is you, Linda. Your compassion, your empathy, and your fierce advocate to all of your clients. I'm sure not just for me, but for everyone who's been honored to be in your presence, can agree with me that you really are an angel.
Oh,
And that's why I'm here.
bless your heart. And thank you for reminding me that the reason that we're all here, and I put it out many times, is because we're all angels and guides for each other. And, you know, everyone that I'm looking at right now, Preeti, you're the only one, like I said, I don't know, but you're the angel that got us together. And everybody else that's here, I know that you are angels too. So thank you, Martha, and thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it. Anyone else? Why are you? Yes, Stephanie, go ahead, hon.
Okay, so I wrote a lot. Um, um, well, I wrote a lot, but I guess to learn how to be the person I'm meant to be, and whatever and whoever that is. It's been a really rough week for me. To know that I'm worthy. I feel really safe, heard, and supported, and relieved to be here. I actually I couldn't think of anything like I'm like really feeling all my feelings. So like this week I felt a lot of sadness, a lot of fear, and I've been able to feel it and process it in a really healthy way.
Fabulous. Fabulous. And thank you for sharing that, because let's talk about processing our feelings. Let's talk about those times when we can literally cry on the floor and give ourselves that grace and that permission and that space to put down the manager parts of ourselves that know we can be a certain way. And I know all of you are strong women who know how to tolerate pain, who know how to show your best face, who know how to take care of everybody else. but making room for our sadness and our fear and our rage and our overwhelm. All parts are welcome here. And you'll notice that when you name them, everybody else reverberates because they too have them. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Our human experience is here to teach us what we're meant to know in this incarnation. So if we look at it from a more spiritual perspective, a more self-led perspective, a higher consciousness way of looking at our lives, healing can happen. But we have to welcome all of our feelings. So thank you, Stephanie, for naming that for us. Who else would like to share? Okay, Julie, thanks, babe. Go ahead. Put the pin in. There we
I'm
go.
going to share just because I do have to jump off earlier, but this is part of your divineness, Linda, that happened today, I think, or this yesterday and today. I don't know if there's any other Virgos here in the room, but I got this morning in my chat that I follow. I'm going to read it real quick. A day of influential conversations and reflections. Your trust in your own intelligence will likely soar today as you engage with the individuals with whom you share your environment. You may find yourself stimulated and intrigued by the sparkling and passionate conversations you have with your neighbors, friends, relatives, and coworkers and others through the course of the day. While you will likely feel brighter and more alert than usual, you may also recognize that your partners in dialogue are contributing to your ability to refine your intellect and creativity.
Wow.
And that was for today. And I was like, this is so crazy that this is happening and that, you know, all these people are getting together and all looking for probably the same thing, which is what Linda can guide everyone to and help everyone with. So I just thought I'd share that.
That's perfect.
If it resonates with anyone else.
I'm so glad it's being recorded because that is the goal, is to find people who speak our language. I shared in another group recently that when I went to the Chopra Center where we talked about higher consciousness and I was in a big room of people and someone behind me said, I feel like a Martian who just landed back on Mars. So this is where we can talk the talk that other people don't understand. And whether my brother calls me woo-woo or I embarrassed my daughter, we do know what we're talking about. We are lights. Laurel's doing some great angel work. I can put those links in so you can join her on bringing in our light and being that light. And she, of course, is inspiring me, and that's what I'm sharing here. And Julie, I want to keep her on because for all the mornings I wake up and say, why am I doing this? Does anybody care? Am I too old? How many emails do I have to send? Should I just walk away? Thank you for understanding, everybody. Julie is the one that always reels me back in. So does Maria, so does Kathy. They're not here, but they have done it too. So thank you, Julie. You are my angel too, my left brain and my angel. Thank you. And whenever you have to go ahead and we'll be back. Okay. Hello, Michelle. Good to see you. Laurel, so good. This is talk about an angel worker.
Hi. Okay. So you know what? I just opened my email and there it was, Linda. And Linda and I have known each other for years, and you know how much I love you. And you know, this is the first time I'm in circle that you're facilitating. And I just feel so blessed to get to receive from you in this way because Linda and Andrea will know I do very spiritual woo work, but part of the way I navigate life is that I talk about my practitioner self and my earth girl because I'm a human being who has a lot of emotions. And just this morning I was just like, wow, I'm struggling. The earth girl in me is struggling. And I have a lot of feelings about it. And I was like, what am I going to do with all this material? And then your email showed up. I was like, Linda, this is awesome. So I feel like, listen, I think, you know, I think probably we're all people who hold space for other people.
Yes.
And that's why it's so powerful to come into a space that's being held for us. So I want to just say thank you and divine timing. And thank you for sticking with it. Linda, and thank you everybody for showing up so that we can all be in group together.
Thank you. And Laurel is the one, and Andrea and Julie that helped me with the page that introduced it. She made the beautiful pictures and the energy, talk about energy, the energy with which I wanted to show up was really from my heart, not my head. And I know that's what you're all doing. But sadly, we live so much in our heads all the time that we don't take the time, we don't make the space. And whoever said that Stephanie said this is a place of safety and comfort to feel supported and heard and relieved. That's exactly the intention. This is your sanctuary. And I knew it was the end of the year and we were all busy and we didn't have time, but this is our sanctuary. I'm going to create a Facebook group so that we can stay in touch. To the extent that any of you want any study buddies or people to connect with, if you give me permission, I will share your email. If you don't, it's all private. But if you give me permission, you can all, check in with each other. But I kind of feel this is kind of like a jazz performance. We've all got our instruments. I've got Carrie, so good to see you. She's a singer. She's also another beautiful guide in the world. Okay. But we've all got our instruments and we all have the notes somewhere. And what gets in my way is when I put my script together or my agenda together, and I think that's the way I need to deliver it. And of course, then my performance parts take over and my ego takes over and my overwhelm takes over and my worry takes over and my inner critic gets involved. But when I truly lean into the fact that we're all divinely led, each one of us here has been divinely led to be here, and we are all going to share our gifts with ourselves and each other. I mean, I have all kinds of things I want to share with you, but whatever shows up is going to show up. So we will just keep on keeping on. So Jill was the second person that signed up that said, okay, I'll have two people. I'll do it for two people. So thank you, Jill. So go ahead. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I've been with working with Linda for, when did we start? Was it spring maybe? And I just thought this just spoke to me, like maybe you and with the energy of other wonderful women, that maybe some of this would I know you're frustrated with me because I
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I don't do what you say, but I just thought this may be I just felt like it's a place I needed to be.
I'm so glad. And
Got a
thank
lot
you.
to work out.
We all do. And thank you for helping co-create it, because that's what you did. And when you say, basically what I share with people is to get to a group, and often that group is Al-Anon. Okay. But for Al-Anon, you have to have a qualifier. In other words, you have to be connected to somebody who's an addict. But the same principles, the same codependent healing, that we are powerless to change other people, but we can change ourselves. There is a higher power. So whether it's God for you or the people in the group or whatever it is for you, and turning our will over to the higher power is, again, how do we lean into the messages from our soul instead of the cacophony from our ego? That's part of what we're working on. And the fourth step in Al-Anon, take your own inventory. There's so many people we could have conflict with, and what we do is spend time trying to figure out how to change them. We cannot change them, but we can change how we react to them, relate to them. And when we relate from our higher self, miracles happen. Like Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at something, what you look at changes. So we're going to look at ourselves with compassion. And then my friend Sark has called herself a full cup of love, sharing her overflow with the world. We are going to be full cups of compassion, sharing our compassion with the world. So thank you all so much. Jan, you're up next, hon. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Linda. It's such an honor and a gift to be able to be with all of you women today on this platform. I always say there's no coincidences that we come into each other's lives, and I'm so grateful that Linda came into mine. And I'm a recovered alcoholic, and I was on a meeting this morning, and we talked about is this a safe place, the platform that we're on? And, for me, that's so important that I'm at a safe place. And this is such a safe, beautiful place. And I so appreciate it. It's interesting. I had something come up, and having an uncomfortable conversation with some family members, and those are tough. But I wrote down I was sad and grateful because it made me sad, but I'm grateful that I have the tools to be able to have that uncomfortable conversation, and just be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So thank you so much, Linda, for sending the email. I so appreciate you.
Back at you. So grateful that you're here. And thank you for mentioning talking to people. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this. We've got Thanksgiving next week. We've got holidays. And I am sure there are people with whom we have conflict. Anybody besides me? Yes, thank you very much. So again, being aware of how they trigger you so that you can take care of those parts of you that get triggered, so that you can then compassionately show up for yourself and then put up your little umbrella of self, which we'll talk more about, where you sit in your space of compassion, calm, clarity, and you let them do what they do, but it does not get in because we're listening from our higher self. So that's what we're doing. And whether we can do it by Thanksgiving or not, we'll see. We'll see what we get done today. But for sure, by the end of the year, you're going to make it better with some of these people. Amy, dear Amy, she has been with me forever and has taken my courses and is the most involved in my trainings. So glad you're here.
It's been such a pull, and then I pull back, and then I go in, and then I go back. It's been such a rough year, but there's just always this Linda in my peripheral vision. I'm going, Amy, just jump on, just do it. And then last night I said, I'm going for it. I'm going for the gold. And that's what pulled me in. And I wrote down the reason for my being here today is for a sense of longing, a longing for connection, a longing for growth, a longing for re-entry after a very difficult year of really finding myself feeling feelings that are not comfortable for me, and yet I have to own them because they are part of who I am. And so I'm just really grateful to be here and to expand and to nurture myself and others.
Fabulous. And I don't want to put you on the spot,
Uh-oh.
but hypothetically, generically, if you can name some of those feelings you said you didn't want to feel, because you're going to be naming them for all of us.
Disgust, anger, lack of comprehension, fear, huge fear. And they're not really feelings except for the fear and the anger and the sadness, but that's just how I'm feeling.
Thank you so much for naming that, because when I was listing, why I was here, why I was to share, heal, and grow, and I put down originally that I was excited, and nervous, and hopeful, and grateful. Then I got to a little bit of worried because I want to make sure everybody gets their needs met. And then when I said to you, what are the feelings you don't want to acknowledge? Then I wrote down sadness, rage, fear, and overwhelm. And Laurel mentioned in our last group together, rage. And it was like, oh, welcome. I welcome you. You have every right to be here just as much as every other part of me does. And when we pay attention to our parts, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and we listen to them and we attend to them and we have compassion for them, they have some wisdom for us. They help us set boundaries. They help us put our GPS in the direction of our highest good. So thank you, Amy. Thanks for naming all those parts and jumping in all the time. I always love having you here. Okay, so anyone else want to share who hasn't yet? No pressure. Oh, Julie, your hand's still up, hon. Did you want it up?
I just wanted to make a comment
Okay, please.
on playing off what she just said. Just the fact that I also had written down, looking for more joy and connection was like the big word, that connection, without feeling guilty,
Those are actually
without having that sense of guilty
Thank you for, it's like, I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember, some of you are, but I don't know, I'm going to date myself now. Do any of you remember the old You Bet Your Life, Groucho Marx was on a
Uh-oh.
TV show, and when he, have a good flight, Catherine, when somebody said the magic word, the duck would come down and the lights would go off. When I was first practicing as a therapist, I never used the word spiritual because it was too woo, but if somebody said something, then I could use it. I do it all the time now. But Julie, you just mentioned, and so did you, Amy, you mentioned guilt, which we haven't mentioned, which all of us card-carrying codependents feel on a regular basis. And the one I love the most that I'm really working the hardest, and Laurel's whole core course is around, is joy. Let's make room for joy. Let's find some space for joy in the middle of what's going on in the world, in the middle of what's going on in a relationship, in the middle of what's going on with the doctor call. Let's find joy and let's see how we can reflect it back and with each other. So thank you. All right. Thank you all. Was there anything that was missed that anybody wants to add? Because I'm going to shift gears. We're all good? Good. All right. Then I'm going to ask you to go back to your journal. And I think many of you will have an answer for this, but if I ask you to say out loud, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being 0 and 10 being, I believe it fully, repeat to yourself 3 times, I am divine. I am divine. I am divine. And scale of 1 to 10, yep, I believe it, or yeah. 10 being, yep, I know that. And 1, 7, wherever it is. So then I want you to, we talked a little bit about how you feel now. What would you like to be feeling? Write down the GPS for yourself. What would you like to be feeling? We always can focus on what we don't want. Let's focus on what we do want. Okay, I'm going to put us back to gallery. And again, whatever you want to share, if you want to share, what's your number, where you headed. And then before you go with what you're headed in, take a moment. We already talked about what you're feeling. And now we're talking about what you'd like to be feeling. Take a moment and write down what's in the way. Okay, and I'll give you a little hint. If your answer wasn't 10 on my question, there are things in the way. So write down what's in the way of you knowing that you're a 10. Could be somebody you're having a relationship problem with. It could be your health. It could be your children or your parents or some judgment of yourself. Camille, yes.
Question.
Yes.
What if, and I, correct me if I'm wrong, what if you know that you're divine, you're a 10, but yet fear is still in the way? Is that
That's what's in the way.
okay?
Of
But
you.
I still feel divine.
Exactly. And you are. And you want to, and how would you like to feel? If you're feeling afraid now, how would you like to be feeling?
Safe, understood, and respected.
Great.
In
Great.
in that order, I think.
Okay. And then I'd go deeper. What's in the way of you feeling safe? What's understood? Yeah, and safe, understood. And what was the other one you said?
Respected.
Respected. Right. So I'd ask you to go deeper, and you can do this on your own. What's in the way of feeling safe? What's in the way of feeling understood? And what's in the way of feeling respected? And then I'd have you go even deeper into how am I not feeling safe inside? How am I not understanding all parts of myself and respecting and honoring all parts of myself? So you just go deeper and deeper.
Mhm.
Okay. And yes, you are divine. I'm glad you got that. Great. Thank you. Who
Thank you.
else? Yes, Stephanie.
You
Go
know, I'm
ahead.
a talker.
Go right ahead, hon.
So I put 5 for being divine. I want to feel that I am. I sometimes do. Obviously my desire is to be a 10 and to know that I am and be secure and things. So what was that? So I said I'd like to feel safe, heard, loved. And my thing was what's in the way, and the biggest thing I feel is judgment.
Yeah, it
And
is.
yeah,
It's okay. Deep breath. You're good.
and after this week, hearing my daughters feel the same way, it's really hard. Because that's how she feels, that she's being judged.
So take a deep breath. And I'll invite you to do the same thing I just asked Camille to do, is go inside and see what parts of you don't feel safe, including your vulnerable or sad, scared ones. Listening to any of your parts, and I'll show you how to journal that. And love all your parts, even your judgment part, your critical part. Okay, because you're right. What's in the way of you knowing that you're divine, because you are, is the part of you that's judging you. And that part is burdened. And we will be looking at limiting beliefs next time and unburdening. Okay, so just breathe and thank all your parts for having the courage to have you speak for them. They're all welcome. Thank you. And to those of you who feel that you want to share more, I will be mindful of making this a group experience. And it's not really group therapy so much as it's connecting and camaraderie. But to the extent that there's something you feel we need to know that you want to share to hold that space for you, you're welcome to do so. Okay. Amy, go ahead, hon.
I think Martha was before me.
Oh,
Without
thank you.
that, I just
Oh,
put the hand.
that's okay.
That's
Oh,
all right. Go ahead,
no,
Martha.
Amy. No, let Amy go and then I'll go
All
after
right.
her.
All
Thank-
right, all right.
Thank you, Martha. Okay, hold on.
So
Go ahead.
I put down a 9. I would love to say a 10, but I know that there's all these, it depends on the moment. Some moments I feel 100% 10, truly divine. And then I could stumble and feel a little bit of the wounds coming up, the old wounds, the old limiting self-beliefs that get in the way. But I would love to feel curious, creative, and resourceful, and just this whole human, this whole woman that I know that I am, and be able to come from that power point in my relationships and in my dreams.
Perfect. Perfectly put.
So,
And let me remind you that you already are a 10, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Laurel always speaks beautifully about her earth girl and her practitioner girl. Okay. And I think I shared with some of you that the only person that ever interned with me was my daughter. I've practiced for 35 years, but I've never allowed an intern to watch me. And she became a therapist, and she then became a mediator, and I had her watch me do a 2-hour mediation. And after doing my thing for 2 hours, my clients left and my daughter walked up to me and she said, "Why can't you be that way all the time?" Okay. Because when I'm practicing, I'm in my higher self. I'm a compassionate witness to my clients. My parts calm down. I am not judging. But the rest of the time, I'm just as neurotic and ADD, as anybody else. And
Right.
we have to hold space for both. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. I think one of my teachers at the Chopra Center, we are locked in the skin for a lifetime or something. They said it much more beautifully, but that is who we are. We're kind of like aliens locked in this human skin, but we're so much bigger. and so much more. And so is everybody. And our job is to help everybody tap into that by tapping it into ourselves. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. Great. Martha.
Well, when you were saying on a scale of 1 to 10, how divine do I feel? And my score is a zero, I guess. So I don't necessarily feel that I'm divine in any way, and I don't think of it as a bad thing at all. To me, in my head, divine means, God, or like Linda, I view you as definitely an 11. But I don't feel anything negative about me not feeling divine. I mean, I'm okay with it. Yeah, I don't know if that's weird, but
Okay. And it might be, we don't have to get into the semantics of it, but and I mentioned that when I work with my clients and when I talk with them about in the first session, excuse me, in the first session, I ask all my clients if they have a word for spiritual. And if their word for spiritual is higher power, universe, sometimes they don't have a word for spiritual. But if they get to God or higher power, I say, where is God? And they say, God is everywhere. And I say, where else? And they finally get to inside me. And that inside me is that divine spark that you are. Not that you haven't been burdened with things that have happened in your past, limiting beliefs, judgments of other people, traumas. We have all had that. And when we listen to those messages, we kind of don't see the light that is our higher self, but she's still there. And of all my clients, Martha, I've been graced with so many wonderful people. You have maintained a presence and a compassionate awareness and a concern for other people in the middle of everything that you've got going on. And to you, that's like second nature. It's like, of course, but it's done with grace. It's not even done from a codependent, I care what people think of me and I have to take care of everybody else. It's just who you are. So maybe you don't recognize it, but the light in me definitely sees and recognizes the light in you. We are all 11s, but thank you. Excuse me. Okay, so more comments on this piece before we go on. Are we good?
Linda, can I
Yes,
just
Jan.
share?
Please, Jan.
Okay, one thought. Yesterday, I was having a conversation with some folks around the death of somebody that died of alcoholism, a young girl, about 3-4 months ago. And, when we were sharing on it, the tears and the emotion came up. And, it's one of those times when you're sharing and you can't even talk. And I just was present enough to realize where I was in that moment. I wasn't like, oh, I don't know why I'm doing this. And when I wrote down that I was sad, I think it's continuing on today, because as we're sharing, I was realizing that I probably was suppressing my feelings yesterday around that. But I'm also grateful that in so many other ways around this individual. And for me, I had an 8 today. I felt maybe I don't even know why. I'm not questioning why I'm an 8, not a 10. But when you ask who is in the way, and I put me, it's the story I'm telling myself about fill in the blank. And maybe it's just a part of me as I'm reflecting more that is in the way of my presence around, feeling. Because what came up for me was grateful, compassionate, but also I want to be respected. So I'm still processing why I wrote that down.
Great. And I would invite you to respect every part of yourself, even the ones you're judging. And then you will feel respected. And based on what you just said, I would like to think that we can wake up every day knowing that we're 10s, even though we feel like a 2. Okay, we're still a 10. We've still got that higher self soul working for us. We just have to quiet our minds long enough to listen. This, I kind of want to introduce the concept of self and parts. Okay. And when I talk about being in self, and usually what I do when I see a client is I ask them why they're there, what they want to work on, if it's a relationship, what's in the way, what's their magic wand. And then I explain self in parts. And here's my 2-minute blurb. I have it as a script. You don't need to take notes. I believe we all have a healthy self, capital S self. And when we are in self, we are calm, clear, and compassionate. You know those moments? They're usually just moments because we're not always in self. We're in parts, parts that we exile and push aside, parts that we manage with and show the world, and parts that we get extreme with and act out. And those exiles are those parts we learned in childhood weren't going to get our needs met. So if we felt hurt or sad or scared, we pushed it aside. A lot of us pushed aside our anger too, because it wasn't safe to be angry. So we exile those feelings, and instead we go out and we show the world we manage. We manage with being nice, pleasing, caretaking, hardworking, stoic. We manage by being smart. And most of us put on what I call a pseudo self, which is where we look like we're in self, but we're really feeling some of those feelings underneath, some of that hurt, sadness, fear. And instead, what we do is when we can't manage those feelings and those exiles start to be felt, we get extreme in some way. My personal favorites are to go eat sugar, turn on my computer, look at Facebook reels. Some people eat more, some people drink too much, some people get depressed, some people get enraged, some people have panic attacks, some people decide, get me out of here, I need a divorce. But these are extreme behaviors that numb us because we can't manage the exiles that we're feeling. And I feel that both my job as a therapist and a teacher and all of our jobs as healers, light being, channels of love and beacons of light is to be in touch with our higher self, to look at the limiting beliefs that we grew up with that we'll be looking at next time, to unburden the pain from the past that we're still carrying, bringing into the present and projecting to the future, and then relate from our heart to ourselves first. And then, as Sark says, a full cup, sharing our overflow with the world. Because I have them, I've got my dolls, and some of you have seen these, but I'll do this again because it's fun. Okay, so think of a relationship, and I see a lot of couples, so we'll go with this. Okay, we all have an inner child, okay? And our inner child is very pure, has been very happy, very safe. But a lot of times, and again, no gender bias, but a lot of times guys try to look cool, okay, and cover up their feelings. And we women often have a codependent trait. This is my codependent doll. I bought her. She looked like this when I bought her. She used to say, I love you when you pushed her stomach. Now she's too exhausted to even do that. Okay, but we get codependent in some way. Some guys too, but you know what I'm saying. And then when our needs aren't getting met, we get reactive and we start fighting or getting divorced or checking out or whatever we do. Okay, so when we are in self, and I'm going to send you to my meditation to get to self, is when we are in self, we ask our parts to relax as we then speak for the parts of us that we've exiled. So we speak for our sadness, our fear, our hurt, and even our anger in ways that they feel heard by us. And it really isn't as important as what anybody else does with it. The importance is that we've had the courage to own it. Does that make sense? And just because my dolls are here, this is my divorce doll. Because most women feel like they will be bag ladies.
Yeah.
Many men feel like they're going to lose their pants. Very helpful. Some of us stick our heads in the sands and don't do anything. And there's often, this is my bull, because a lot of times when you're relating to somebody who's coming at you like a bull and you react in defensiveness, recognize that underneath is also a teddy bear who is yearning for connection, affection, appreciation, acceptance, attention, all those needs of the heart. So just kind of understanding our self better, understanding our parts better is what we're going to be doing. The C words for calm, for IFS self, calm, clear, compassionate, curious. And I'll send you all these links. I have handouts to give you. I wasn't going to do handouts today, but I got handouts up the wazoo, ladies. Okay, you don't need any notes. Curious, compassionate, connected, calm, clear, compassionate, curious, connective, created, confident, courageous. Yeah, I add grateful. I add grateful to the IFSC. Let me ask you another question. What can you do this week? Because I'd like this to be a journey that I'm on with you. Laurel says she teaches, I think we all do. We teach what we need to learn and create an environment for that healing. What are we going to do collectively and individually for the next month to practice exquisite self-care? What would it mean to you? You can write it in your journal. You can write it in the chat. You can say it out loud. What would feed your soul? Anybody?
Nature.
That's mine for sure. Amy Botanic, we got our name on it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Exercise.
Keep going.
Dancing.
I love that. Keep going.
What about transparency? Just sharing our truth
I love it.
instead of stuffing it.
Tell me more.
Just, when something comes up and I would normally kind of go within and not feel the courageous part of me to stand up for what my feelings really are, just to be able to have those moments of saying, hey, stop, just a minute. Let's look at it.
Great.
I did it this week.
Super. Are you mean to yourself or when you're with someone else?
Oh,
Or both?
well, actually both.
Okay, good.
Actually both, because it always comes from within me initially. Yeah, so within myself.
So when
Okay.
you first started talking, were you talking about being transparent for yourself or transparent in
I
relation?
was really reflecting on a conversation that just happened and how I took care of myself in that conversation. And
Great.
that was by being transparent and open and honest and stopping it right there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And what you did was you took a breath, you came from your higher self, and you had the courage to speak for a part of you. And speaking for a part versus from a part is an entirely different energy. Because when you speak for the part, you can talk about the part of you that's angry or the part of you that's frustrated or even the part of you that's disgusted, though you may want to rephrase that a little bit. But you can say there's a part of me that's really upset because, and then because you're speaking about a part of you, when you're speaking from your higher self that way, then they can be with you and know that you're there, even though there's a part of you that's
Right.
upset, right?
And the difference is the way in which it's received. The energy is totally different. Right.
I'm so glad you said that. I just had goosebumps come all up because what you're talking about is exactly what we're talking about. When there is self-present, Dick Schwartz says that when there is a critical mass of self-present, then healing can happen. So because your higher self was present, your part didn't trigger their part, right? And the compassion with which you offer that. Now, we are going to be doing the meditation next week. I could give it to you now, but I'd rather wait till next week. For those of you who want to hear it ahead of time, you can go to Linda Kroll, I'm putting in the chat.com/book-resources. And we'll do it next week when we start working with all of our parts, but I wanted you to have access to that if you wanted to listen. Deep breath, because I'm aware of the time. And if we have time at the end, I'll do it with you. But I wanted to give those of you who do need to hop off a chance to kind of close on this piece. And then we're going to stay on and I have more planned. So does anybody need to hop off? Andrea, I thought you might, hon. That's why I wanted to make space for you to do it. Thank you so much for being here. Andrea and I had to reschedule and she helped me with my card deck. I can't wait to show you my card deck.
Beautiful.
Laurel and Andrea have helped me create, and we'll talk about it next time,
And I just wanted to add one thing to the conversation. I feel like neutrality is something I'm really working with as in regard to getting to self energy, just finding neutral.
Tell me what you mean by neutral.
Like neutral, like coming into a conversation with a kind of neutrality, like without an agenda, without like claws out, without like in neutral. Not
Super.
like big emotion that I'm carrying with me, like that.
Great. And just to translate to self and parts terminology, what you're balancing is the cacophony of any part that's angry or judgmental or frustrated. And you're taking a breath to be calm and compassionate to those parts, to allow yourself to show up confidently and courageously to engage with someone else. So neutral is a great word. And it's just another extension of what it feels like when we're not being triggered by our parts or someone else's parts. Okay, but I want to thank, and I'll show you those cards next time, because Laurel and Andrea helped me create a card deck called Messages from Your Higher Self. And it's so exciting. I can't wait to show it with you. Okay, so I'm going to let you hop off, Andrea, and the rest of us will carry on, and the rest of it will be videoed, okay? Thanks so much for coming.
I'm going to run too, but
Okay.
I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel.
Love you.
Thanks for
Thanks.
being here.
I'm
Bye.
also hopping off.
Okay,
I've already been
Julie.
here longer than I was supposed to
I
be.
know
Sorry.
you were. I was so
All
glad.
right.
See you later.
And
Bye-bye,
Linda, I have
everyone.
a class. It's going to be tight, but I'm going to try to stay as long as I can. I have a
Cool.
class after this, so I'll try.
Let's just stay as long as you need. What
Okay.
I'd like to
For sure
do,
we'll-
I'd like to offer you space. And we'll be working on this next time, but I want to offer you an opportunity to look at your story. Okay. Meaning we all have a story. Is Carrie still here? I don't think so, but she does a great podcast on changing your story, and I'll send you the link to that at some point. But I invite you this week to think about writing a short version of your story. In other words, where, let me see my notes here. Where are you holding on to something that you believe to be true about yourself or someone else? How do you look at what's happened to you in the past and continue to tell yourself the same details? At the same time, where are you keeping yourself protected based on that story? In other words, where do you keep the walls around your heart so you stay safe? Where do you keep your filters on by which you judge other people, and more importantly, by which you judge yourself? So I want to help you change that story in the next month. If you start to look at what we've told ourselves, what we tell ourselves about ourselves, okay, and how we keep replaying that story, it gives us some perspective to change the story. Because when you change your story, when you change your thoughts that we'll be working with next week, you change your feelings. But if you keep telling yourself the same thoughts, you're going to keep having the same feelings. So we're going to start with your story. And next time we're going to look at the limiting beliefs that kind of brought you to that story. It's how do you recognize your stories? What story are you telling yourself about a person, about yourself, about how you're being treated, about your relationship, about them? Put yourself on here first. Excuse me. Do you see yourself as a victim in some way? That's a big one. Okay. And how are you managing that? Okay. And I invite you to welcome your victim part, because your victim part has a lot of information from you, a lot of room for healing. How are you defending yourself? Are you angry, withholding? You shut yourself down? Are you resigned? Do you judge yourself? And what do you need to do to feel safe, to lower your walls? Okay, so this is just an exploration inward. Again, nothing you have to do. I'll probably put some journal questions in there too, because what I want you to begin to see is you have all the power you need to make the changes you need. You just may need a little guidance or reminders of how to do that. And that's why we're here. is kind of share and guide and remind each other. And like I said, there is so much that has been shared today by those of you who brought your best self here. Meaning your best self is your higher self that brings all your parts with you. I don't want you to be confused by self being Zen or Buddha or, okay. I think sometimes people feel if a therapist hasn't lived through it, she can't help you or something. It's like none of us do that. Even when we meditate, we don't do that. We are going to be talking about meditation. And when I ask you, what do you do to be on self? I'm going to offer a few suggestions. You can write these down. I'm going to invite you to write down, what are you grateful for? And even if I know there are a few of you that have relationship issues going on right now and are being challenged by them, you can still be grateful for whatever has come from that relationship, whatever assets, whatever children, whatever experiences you've had, because gratitude will bring in more self-energy. And then you can deal with the anger and the resentment and the judgment and the confusion and the hurt and the overwhelm and the sadness, because you mitigate it with enough self-presence to say, okay, yes, I feel this way, but I can also be grateful and bring that gratitude in. And while we're talking gratitude, some of you have heard me say this, it's the G in the spiritual graft, meaning our egos get wounded, our shoulds, our expectations, what needs to happen, how other people should be, our judgments of ourselves and others. So we're wounded and we're hurt and we keep railing against the wind to change things. But if we put a spiritual graft, G-R-A-F-T, then things change. G, gratitude. R-A, radical acceptance. It is what it is. And I once told my daughter on her birthday that I was going from unconditional love to radical acceptance. And she said to me, "You mean you're going to love me even though I don't love you the way you'd like me to?" And I, yes, I am. Because unconditional love, I was still looking for a little more from her. But radical acceptance means I'm not looking, I'm just accepting, I'm being grateful. F, forgiveness. Forgive yourself. Forgive everybody else. We're all doing the best we know how to do. T, trust. Trust your higher self. Trust God. Trust the process. Trust me. Trust each other. Trust that you're on a spiritual path. And even though things seem dark, it's not the end. There's another chapter. Hang in, be resilient, bring your best self, and you will be divinely led to where you're supposed to be. So gratitude is something that will bolster you. So what are you grateful for this week? Let us talk for a minute about meditation. Take a deep breath. Hi, everybody. So when I say meditation, excuse me, one more time. What comes up for you around meditation? Anybody?
Just being in the moment.
Good. Anybody else? Jan, are you talking? I can't hear you. There we go.
Reflection.
It's that conscious contact with God for me.
Okay, great. Love it. Anybody else?
I had said reflection.
Good. Reflection is great. Absolutely. Take a deep
Silence.
breath. Yep. What were you going to say?
Silence. It's a moment just to sit in silence with myself
Perfect.
without the noise.
Without the noise. Exactly. So what I'm calling meditation, I'm going to invite you to do for 2 minutes at a time. 2 minutes. Whether it's in the morning, whether it's throughout your day, to just breathe and just be. If you want to concentrate on a word like peace, if you want to just focus on your breathing, I'm talking 2 minutes. And the reason I'm suggesting it is because it's practicing disengaging from the cacophony of your mind, disengaging from what your parts think do, judge, your agendas, your to-dos. I often think of it as like when we're, excuse me, when our computers start that little circle, that little rainbow circle that's just, you know what I'm talking about, when it's just on overload. And sometimes the only thing you can do is shut down the computer and turn it on again. 2 minutes will do that. Did you have a question, Stephanie? Go ahead.
2 minutes of silence, of like not like listening to something, just sitting in silence.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. And I'll
A
tell you
long
why.
time.
I tell you why the oh my God comes up. Because for most of us, many of us, myself included, busyness is a way that I can avoid my feelings. And if I stop being busy long enough, I start to feel my feelings. And I spend so much time avoiding feeling my feelings, even though that's what I help other people learn to do, that it is just a great reminder. And somebody recently did a session with me, and she was literally crying on the floor in her room. And I was so happy for her that she was able to do that. Because the parts of us that need to cry on the floor are just as important as the parts of us that need to pretend everything is all right. And when we give ourselves space to do that, we then have more energy to be all right, not just pretend we're all right. And we all avoid it like the plague. Like if we go there, we'll never be able to function. We'll be overwhelmed with all the sadness. Who will we be? Okay, so we titrate how much we go there. We just bring in a little at a time. And one of the ways you can journal this week is to journal with a part. Meaning, let's say you sit for 2 minutes, pardon me, and you begin to feel a feeling. And you can feel a sensation in your body, your throat, your chest, your back. What I do sometimes is I take a sheet of paper, and at the top of the paper, I write self, and I write, who can I help? And I see who shows up, and I take dictation. So if it's sadness, I just let her talk. What is she sad? I'm sad because, I'm sad because, I'm sad because, I'm sad because, I'm sad because. And when you're done, write a love note from your higher self to that part of you. You can actually go listen to the meditation and write a love note from your higher self. I do it on my computer, and I take a new document and I write in caps at the top, self, who can I help? And then I make room for different parts to show up. So my sadness will show up, my anger will show up, my jealousy will show up, and I put them in different fonts. So my sadness speaks in short italics, and my anger speaks in dark bold, and my jealousy speaks in green, and my fear, not necessarily yellow because you can't see the type, but you know what I mean. And you just invite all your parts. Next week, we're going to do some boardroom where all of our parts feel welcome, and we can help each of them heal. Again, just some thoughts, no to-dos. If you come back in 2 weeks and none of that has happened, that's cool. Just come on back. It's just, I want to offer you as much as I can. And in terms, check in for just a minute. I know we've done all this, we've all done the Self Up the Mountain meditation, but for now, just breathe. And again, let your feet touch the ground. See them growing roots to the center of the earth. And as they do, you are going to feel very firmly rooted and planted and grounded, like a tree or a mountain, so that whatever's swirling around you isn't going to take you off your foundation. And you're going to bring that nurturing energy up through your feet, your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips, your groin, your stomach, your chest, and into and around your heart with all the feelings that you have there. And then allow that nurturing energy to go up through your throat, behind your jaw, behind your eyes, to your forehead, to the crown of your head, out the crown of your head, all the way to the sky. And then invite down from the sky nature, universe, higher power, God, what's ever out there. Invite down energy that's very calm and very compassionate. And breathe even bigger than yourself. So you surround yourself with this calm, compassionate energy of your higher self. And then focus that compassion inward. Start at the top of your head and scan your body to the soles of your feet. And just notice. Notice where you're feeling any tension or tightness. Notice all your thoughts. Notice your feelings. And as you notice these parts, let these parts notice you, being supported and surrounded by this calm, compassionate energy of self. And then listen to see what your parts need. What do they need from you this week? What do they need from you this month? What do they need from you today? And let your parts know we have about 10 more minutes for them to be spoken for and attended to. So take a moment to write down whatever just came through to you from this brief meditation. And then to close, I want to give us all a chance to speak for whatever parts you're aware of. So what are you aware of? Go ahead, Amy.
I'm aware of my raw fear. I just had an MRI today, my 6-month always, and just until that comes back, I just live in a little bit of angst. Very easy to go down the path.
I'm glad you named it so we could put you in our thoughts, in our prayers.
Yes.
Thank you.
And invite those of you who also have something to share, if you choose to, around that, to share. If you choose to.
My sad and scared part. And also my hopeful part.
Good. They can all coexist. And again, some of you have, worked with me when we've created a spa to send your parts to, or a beach to send your parts to, or a tea room. I just send mine to a spa. So I know if somebody is relaxing at least in there, right? Who else? What other parts? Anything that doesn't feel settled for now. We have a few more minutes and I did want to offer, it's not time to really go into any deep processing. Any thoughts for next time? Because as I said, I got 35 years here, ladies. We're not going to do it all in 4 weeks, but if we were focusing on something, when we look at limiting beliefs, or when we look at, gee, if I could focus on this, this would be great. Now's your chance to add to your agenda. And if it's something you're working on personally and you choose to share it in the group, like now, it's all confidential. It will be on the platform, but only for those of us who are in the group. If you don't want to share, that's fine. But if you want to hold us in awareness, if you want me to speak to some of these things in the coming weeks, I will. And if not, again, no pressure.
Linda, you were talking about the victim, and and this has come up for me a few times more recently. When I say that, probably within the last year, I was molested as a little girl from between 5 and 7. And that little girl couldn't or didn't know how to say no. And so it's even today, it was hard for me to say no around something, or and also asking for help. And I'm just, putting it out there. I don't know what any of it means. But there's something again that is underneath the underneath, I think. And I don't know. I'm just being patient with myself. So we'll see.
Great. And thank you so much for naming those parts, Jan, because I'm not going to have anybody raise hands, but I'm sure there are others of us who have been abused and have dealt with it. I don't know if most of you know that my master's thesis was on codependency. So I am an expert on why we become codependent based on trauma, wanting to please, not setting boundaries, not saying no. And that's part. So next week we'll be talking about the limiting beliefs that we have because of the trauma. And the next week we'll be talking about unburdening it because we can. And the reason I mentioned the victim part is because sometimes when we start unburdening pain from the past, we have to check in with our victim part because sometimes our victim part doesn't want to stop being the victim. Okay, she knows what that feels like. She knows, that it either can or has garnered sympathy or empathy. Sometimes it keeps us locked from taking action because we're a victim. So we have a lot of compassion for that part, but we have to give her some space to see what she's afraid of if she stops being a victim. And sometimes it's, oh my God, I'll be empowered. I'll be free. I don't know what that feels like. Right. So thank you for naming all that. You're speaking for all of us. All right. Well, we're winding down. We did it with 4 minutes to spare. And I truly thank you for showing up, taking the time, and for all your gifts that you are bringing. Some of you I will be seeing privately. Some of you I will be seeing in the group again. But you can always reach out to me. And if you think of anything that you'd like to see included, I will include it. I will put things. So what I will do is I will sign you up to the Compassionate Communication Academy. I will use your email to sign you up. And your password that I will give you that you can always reset will be the first initial of your name. I'll send all this to you. You don't have to remember. It will be the first initial plus your last name plus a 1. And then you will have access to get to whatever this video will be there posted probably in the next couple of days and assignments. In a perfect world, I will start segmenting some of this, but it's not a perfect world and it probably won't happen right away where the meditation will be out and the conversation about something else will be out. But because I'm doing this all by myself, I'm not making that promise. The full thing will be there. You can fast forward as you need to. As much as I hate goodbyes, I am going to see you in 2 weeks. So see about bringing your higher self to Thanksgiving, where you notice, for the sake of what we're going to be doing, how you get triggered by people.
Don't
Just
have them
notice.
come.
Yeah, don't have to come. Exactly. Laurel was saying in her group, no soup for, she was going to have a party, but no soup for you. So, but again, imagine that you're sitting under your umbrella of self, that you can, meantime, you're going to notice at your gatherings or in your interactions, how am I triggered? And then you're going to send love to those parts. And then we're going to see the messages, the stories your parts are carrying, and how to change those stories, how to let go of what you don't need, and how to relate from your heart. So that's the plan. I love you all. It's been fun and to be continued. I will see you all in a couple. Some of you I will see sooner. Love you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.
Love
Bye.
you.
Thanks again. Love you too. Thank you.